Alright, so this is demo day. Hell is us. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe I should use my cell phone. Sometimes YouTube acts up and it takes a while. This is demo. Let me see. So there are two demos I'm going to do today. Probably each for about maybe, depending on how long the demo is. I'm going to do them for about 30 minutes to an hour a piece. If the demo is short, 30 minutes. If the demo is long, an hour. But I won't go beyond 2 hours for either demos. One is a racing car demo, and this is, I believe, might be a horror demo. I really want to get back into the racing car demos. It's been a while since I played a racing game, so I want to see what that's all about. There's two of them, but today I'm only going to try one of them. But Hell is Us is a game I've been seeing and heard for more than a year about, but I never got the opportunity to play it because it was $70 when it came out. In another country, it'll probably like $80. So I waited for the price to go down, but apparently the price is still high. It's about $60. So I'm definitely going to wait for the price to fall with regards to that as well. But for right now, because this is demo day, I'm going to see if it's even worth it to play to begin with. So it's not just about purchasing the game. It's also going to be about seeing if it's worth it to begin with. Alright, so I'm going to do this. And I'm probably only going to spend about an hour on it. If it's long. If it's short, just 30 minutes. I do play a variety of games so I'm never the type of gamer to stick to one specific type of game. Like if I was to play Fallout, or if I was to play Fall Guys, like all the damn time, like every day, then like, no, you could kiss my behind on that one. I don't do shit like that. I specifically made sure I play a variety of games, so I know exactly what's good and what's not. And I don't stick to one type of formula, because you don't go and watch one type of movies all the time. Otherwise it becomes sickening to you, like drinking too much coffee, or taking in too much sugar, or eating too many spicy foods. It's like, I love spicy foods. Yeah, you try to eat spicy foods every day, 7 days a week. See if something ain't gonna happen to your body. Same goes for watching movies. You watch movies for 2 or 3 times a week, see if something doesn't happen to your eyes. Same for television. You watch television 3-4 times a week for, let's say, more than an hour, see if something doesn't start happening to your eyes the following year or the year after. Life, your human body is designed for you to regulate, and this is regulation. So I will see what this is all about. The next demo is going to be a racing car demo, but this is Hell is Us demo. So to evaluate, I'll see what Hell is Us first, and then I'll see what the racing demo is second. Okay, so in opening sequence, first evaluation is the brightness. Good, it has increased brightness. Second is show graphic representation of direction and distance of gameplay related sound, which is good. Subtitles show on, very good, and off. It only has off and on. Subtitles background, show subtitle background. I want that off. I just want the subtitles. Subtitle style, large, medium, small. Let's go with medium and see what it works with. but the show subtitle background might be like stylish, but stylish is not present here, so I'm not going to give it a point for. If I would give it a point for stylish if it has stylish, but so far the menu system is very standard, and I'll give it a point for its menu system. Just 1 point so far. Ability to increase and decrease brightness. It has a gamma. If not gamma, it's just brightness. Performance, graphics, quality, or performance. I'll go with performance. Audio, stereo, home theater, headphones. Set the audio output corresponds to your listening settings. I'll just go with stereo for right now, not home theater, just for this video. Dynamic range, full, that's fine. Permissions, it says Helicis collects animes. I guess. Well, I don't see how that's helpful towards me, but it's helpful towards the people who make the game. But if they're going to be collecting data based on my experience, it should be more than just collecting the data. It should be actually watching people's gameplay. Another reason why I don't trust a lot of heavy streamers, because most of their stuff is based on them talking a lot rather than playing. So when you find a good streamer who does quality depiction of a game and how the game performs, it's typically done by someone other than them in the background, which you don't see because they're too busy talking to chat and all this stuff. So those people need to be acknowledged for, never them. Their job is to make sure people are entertained. Unless they go back and then they do the game all over again for evaluation, and which is also labor. So settings have been put in place. That's done. Actually, no, that was the beginning screen. So the opening screen was certain settings. So I'm not going to dock a point from that. That could have been part of the settings, whereas it was an opening settings. It wasn't really needed. Could have been just part of the general settings to open to begin with. But most games, modern games, and people who want to play games just want to do an opening settings and then get right into the game. So I'm not going to dock a point for that. So gameplay wise, you have auto target switch, lock on to a new target automatically. The current target is defeated. No, because depending on the amount of enemies surrounding me, it might lock on to something I don't want to lock on. This isn't Elden Ring that has auto lock on to nearest person and you can't turn it off. So I'm gonna give the game a point for that, because it could have gone the From Software route with its bullshitty lock on. So I'm gonna give a game a point for that. So I'm at a 5.2 across the game. Datapad opening animation. Control the length of the datapad opening animation. We'll see how that works. HUD visibility dynamic. Hidden. HUD visibility behavior. I don't at all times. No. I might need to see certain things when fighting. Enemy tier indicator. Control the visibility of enemy tier indicator. Okay, so turning this off might be for those who want a challenge. So if I turn it hidden, so hidden might be something if you, after you beat the game, you might want a challenge so you can see where enemies are. Either to hide their names or just to hide their health bar or whatever, so you don't see them. So it gives you a level of stress. Show damage numbers. Sure, this is to evaluate, so I need to see the damage numbers. Dual sensitive wireless. Vibrations full, limited, off. So this is interesting. Most games will give you vibration on and off. This one gives you an extra, which is limited vibration. So it's off or it's fully on, but this allows you to have somewhat vibrations without. So I guess that's good if you just want a little bit of the experience. Vibration intensity, let's put that to, I want to feel the vibrations but not too much of it. Sure, and I'll go with that. Now I'll move to sound. I don't know how powerful the volume of voices will be in the game, so I'll leave it at 100. I don't know how powerful the music, if there's game music in, how powerful that will be over me shooting a gun. So I'm gonna put that at 80. Ambient sound is sometimes overpowered by music, so I'll leave that at 100. Sound effects is typically in most games very powerful, too powerful. So I'm gonna drop that down to about 60. See how that works, especially when shooting guns and when characters are yelling or monsters are yelling, which comes with the volume, but added with sound, it makes it extreme. Control speaker on. That's fine. Okay, let's go to video. Performance, we want that. Let's see what else they have. Performance, quality, performance. Okay, so he only has 2. So should I give a point for anything here? No, this is all standard. All standard you find in the game. Let's see. Brightness calibrated. Okay. Okay. Okay, so if the game didn't have a gamma, it does have brightness. Okay. And okay, so that's all standard that you find in any modern game, or even some old games. Language, text is English, voice is English. Subtitles are on. Subtitle styles medium. Okay, went over that before. Controls, vertical look, so both of these are default, that's fine. Look sensitivity is at 50%. We'll see what that, at 50% we'll see how that works, and if I need to increase it or decrease it, I'll see how that works. So I'm gonna go with their default right now and see how that works. I could change it, but I need to see based on where they put their settings what they consider is a good performance balance at 50%. Camera follow on, camera follow off. I need the camera to follow me wherever I go. Movement lag, let's see what that means. Believe that's kind of new to this game or to their IP. Movement lag, I've never heard of that before. Control the lag for camera movement as it catches up to the hero when he moves. Okay, so if I swing my rifle to the left and to the right, and the camera is swinging with me, I want it to catch up to me the moment I swing it to the left or right. If I run and duck or hide under somewhere, I need it to catch up to me the moment I run and duck and hide. So they believe the movement is a preferred one, and the rotation lag is a 1, especially when I'm moving, so the rotation should be 1. So I'll leave it at 1. I'll see how that works, but I believe I might need to increase that so it can catch up to me right away. Would it cause strain on my PlayStation for it to move that quickly? Who knows. I would go with their default settings for that. Motion blur. I get that every game wants motion blur in it, but what I never understand is why they always put motion blur as a default type of thing on. They don't put it off. So what I'm starting to get with all developers in all games is that the software they're using, and that could only be the reason why they always have it on, is that the software they're using puts motion blur at the default as fully on. And the people who make the game don't change those settings. But it doesn't make sense, because if you're going to change the settings of where you believe the lag ratio should be with regards to movement, you obviously would know to change the motion blur. And they don't do that. They put it at full. So they believe that motion blur at full should be the quality for it. And it's like they're... So I might have to dock a point from the game for this, because if they've given the ability to change certain things what they believe is rational, the ability to have the motion blur on at full is also irrational, which means whoever is part of this development team might be full of people who are rational and irrational. So I might dock a point for them simply having motion blur on at full. But that might just be a software thing, so I'm gonna dock half a point for that, and just say it's the machine that decided to put it there, not the person. So I was at a 5.2, now I'm at 5.15. That's good. I don't really want that on. It's not my... My eyes are pretty okay for right now. I'm not very young, but I'm not old as the hills are high and freaking, or even halfway there. So my eyes are good enough to see at a certain distance. It's when people make text in their game that's so small, like Entropia, that's terrible. Or certain text in Doom Eternal that shouldn't be a certain color. Like light green is a terrible color when you mix it with lighter colors. Like, you know, someone who's a coder and a developer is not a designer. You know that they're not a designer who develop things, because from a designer point of view, they would never put light colors together, especially when it comes to text. They would put contradicting colors together, or opposing colors opposite each other. So far with regards to this menu system, I would say I'm at with the overall game so far, I'm at 5.2. The additional point I'm going to give to the game is the first opening increased brightness and settings. And actually, now I think about it, I should really have it at 5.15. Yeah, because showing this map here, it does nothing. It has a text on the background of a map of the ground, and names of locations of the map of these contour lines, because these are contour lines on a contour grid platform of foliated rocks and foliated hills on top of each other, all contoured to show sea level and to show height from sea level. That's fine. That doesn't mean anything. So I'm now going to play the game, but it's a good start. I'm already at a 5.15. And the game hasn't started yet. Combat difficulty, I'm gonna pick balance for right now. Don't really like balance, but merciless is basically for professionals who've played the game or probably already, or want a serious challenge. Sure, I want a serious challenge, but I'm doing this to evaluate the game, and I'm not exactly sure what merciless means. Merciless could be like heaven and hell mode, or ridiculously hard. So we go tame, we go normal, or we go... See, I can't even say this is hard, because this game only has 3 mode. 3. So balance might be hard itself, because if merciless is like heaven and hell mode or ultra violent mode, that's not hard. That's extremely hard. So hard and normal might be here, and easy, or maybe easy and normal is here. Easy and normal, baby steps and normals here. hard and very hard is here, and extreme mode and ultra extreme is here. It only gives you 3 modes, so picking normal to hard, I'm going to go with this, that I'm going to be going from normal to hard. That's what it means, and this means I'm going to be going from hard to extreme hard. So that's how I'm going to see it. This is going from easy to somewhat hard. This is going to go from somewhat hard to very hard, and this is going to go from hard to extremely hard. So as an evaluation, I believe this is suitable. Enable tutorial. We strongly recommend playing the tutorial. Activate for your first playthrough. Sure. So I'm going to play the tutorial and see how the tutorial works. So far, the options with regards to difficulty is about normal as any other game. However, the fact that I'm trying to define where the threshold line between difficulty is bad, because in Horizon games or Doom games or Resident Evil games, you know exactly where the threshold is because the game tells you. Especially in Doom and Horizon, they basically tell you this is easy mode, this is normal mode, this is hard mode, this is very hard mode, and this is extreme mode. It tells you what it is. Here you only have 3 options. You have light, you have balance, and you have difficult, but you don't know where the threshold is. So you have to come up with the threshold yourself. So that's why I picked balance, because I believe balance is the threshold between hard, normal hard, and somewhat hard. And the extreme merciless might be hard to extremely hard. So I'm not going to dock it a point for that, but I am going to say they could have done a better job with that. It could be a Resident Evil thing. Resident Evil truly only gives you like 3 modes as well. Easy, hard, and merciless. I believe their merciless is called hardcore, so it could be the same as Resident Evil. And I'm not trying to do that for this video. The graphics are good. The graphics are very good. I'll give it a full point for the graphics. So now I'm at
It's a true serum. It's still experimental. Hence the polygraph. I would have tortured you, but
5.3.
insist I use their concoction.
5.35.
Now, let's begin. How did you get into Hadia?
The yellow brick road.
Well, apparently, needs more time.
Animation and the faces are very good.
System. Curious about something.
Use the word something. The movement of his mouth. That was good.
Anyone in my shoes would have done the same.
I think you overestimate human beings.
5.45.
The time, money, and resources that went into this operation. You pissed off the wrong people. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's not perfect.
Smuggled out of Haiti at age 5, grew up in the foster care system, and dabbled in criminal activities. You managed to pull yourself together and become a decorated soldier. After decades of trying to get back into Haiti, well, you decided to take matters into your own hands. Oh, it seems we're ready. How did you get into Haiti?
I asked for a transfer to the UN peacekeepers, who had deployed inside Haiti. It backfired. When the paperwork cleared, Haiti's civil war was in full swing and the peacekeepers pulled out. I reported to my new unit, stole some gear, and crossed the mountains.
Why come back?
Eye movement is good as well. Very good. The eye movement and the design of the eyes is done very good.
I wanted to find them.
So, 5.65.
I needed to confront them.
How did you know your parents were still in Hadia?
I didn't. My only memory was that my father was the blacksmith of a village of Jova.
Getting into Hadia is just as hard as leaving. Tell me, who smuggled you out?
My mother.
What happened?
She sat me down in the back of a truck, gave me her necklace, and shut the door.
She didn't say anything?
She told me, never come back.
Lighting is good as well. The lighting on him, on the side of his face, the lighting of the cigarette to show what I'm supposedly guessing is the villain of the story is also good from the cigarettes. So 5.75. The structure of the world, the green area of the world, walls, defining metal from organic, and based on colors. It's not just the crafting, or should I say the sculpting of armor, the sculpting of clothes, the sculpting of hills. Those are done very good too. This is a very good sculpted game, 3D sculpted game, very good. It's not perfect because obviously it's not, the people don't look completely realistic because it's a 3D game. A 3D game can do just so much, so they might not have the budget for that, but I don't give a shit about that budget nonsense, because if I was to give them $1 billion, they would find a way to make this character look super real. So I know if they were giving the budget, they could do it based on what I'm seeing. So now I'm at a 5.85 with regards to the details of armor, details of clothing, or should I say with regards to armor and with regards to clothing, I'll give it a 5.85. Now the sculpting of the world, which is different from clothes and everything, vegetation versus metal, it's not as hard as trying to sculpt a person. The world and the sculpting of a world is far easier to do than the design of a person. For instance, you see this nice little hill here, right here, or the top of this ridge of this rock where this waterfall is. This is quite easy. You create the 3D model to create this little hill. You put it in this little section right here. You lock it so it doesn't move around when you touch it. You then drop a base color, flat color there, and the flat color I'm assuming is probably the lightest of brown that they have here. And then you foliate over that flat ground, flat color, another form of brown, which you edged into certain areas after you sculpted the whole thing. And on every edges where you sculpt into, you make those the heavier browns, and that's the heavy browns color applied on top of that. And you do that same for the light greens and for the even darker greens that you put on it thereafter. And that's just for the rock, that's not for the vegetation on it. And then after that is finished, you mesh them all together, or should I say you layer them all together as just one layer and lock them into each other, and then this is what you got. And then you render it with regards to lighting and shadow to make it look like a hill. So it's actually a gray hill or a light gray hill that's been cut and sculpted and then painted on with various different colors just for that one hill, and it would look this way. And then thereafter you go to whoever does lighting for your team within your game, and they will apply the lighting, such as lighting on and trees to create shadows and lighting on stuff. So wherever the tree is designed, the tree is placed, whatever the structure of the curvature with regards to the rock formation comes out, protrudes outwards, whatever sticks out from the flat surface, those edges are considered with regards to trees and regards to the lighting. So you have your lighting that's high up in the sky, and you consider where the sun is, and wherever the sun is pointing, that's where the shadows will follow, and the shadow will hit onto the protruding area right here, and it would go around it. So the lighting on here shows exactly the design of where the shadow is, which is that little shadow right here, and the tree, which is right there, is showing the tree, which is this tree, I'm assuming, going on right here. So lighting and shadows are something that comes directly after you've already done the coloring and stuff. So this is very good. I could stay here all day and talk about all this, including like the water effects and particle effects of the water, because the water could just come down without no splashing whatsoever, but they allow for the base of the water to fall and to give a splashing effect going outwards right here. So particle effects is good, lighting effects is good, shadow effects is good, rendering is good, coloring of the background, coloring of objects is good, sculpting is good, but I already give it a point for sculpting as well. So 5 additional points I'm going to give towards the game. Starting off very good. So 5 additional points to give to the game. I already had it at 5.885. So I'm now at a 5.9. Yeah. So now I'm at a 6.3. 6.35. And actually, now I think about it, I'll make it a whole 6.4 because I guess you could say the coloring with regards to Prevo Close is the same format that you color your backgrounds and everything else. Okay, so 6.35 at the beginning. But then there's also sound effects with regards to background, sound effects of the waves, sound effects of the birds that's present in the game, rushing water from the little water going downhill sounds realistic. The bird sounds realistic. So yeah, sound effects is good. So now I'm at a 6.5. Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5. Any additional points that I might have missed, tallying it up to about a 6.5 right now. So I just started the game. I'm not even fully into the game, but I think I should give so far half a point for the story. I like how they're throwing partially you into the story. It says select tutorial, and the tutorial was introduced. I selected the tutorial, and the tutorial is embedded into the story. It's not just I selected tutorial, here's the tutorial channel. It went straight into the story, and I'm assuming the tutorial is part of the story as well once I start the fight. So I'm going to give it a half point for the story, not a full point, because I don't know if the story is good at the beginning yet. So far I like that sitting down. I like that he was caught. I like that he was interrogated. I like that he's telling the story of the past on his interrogation. I like that so far. So I like where the story is going at the very beginning. It could have started randomly. It could have started just you being dropped into mission, but it started in a good way. So I'm gonna give it a half a point, which would now get me to full 6.5. Yeah, so far so good. I was wearing armor. I decided to take my armor off I'm just exploring, I guess. His character. Oh yes, and I'll also give it a 6.6, I guess, because you get some backstory with regards to your character. So the game is willing to give you somewhat of a backstory of the character through conversations of both these people talking to each other. So you get sort of a backstory with regards to this character. So 6.65 actually. A little backstory with regards to the world, not just the character, but with regards to the world and what's going on. So you have a tad bit of backstory of who captured him, where he is, and who he is and what he does. So 6.55. No, 6.65. I'm gonna get confused. You know what? I'll just give it a 6.7 so I could stay on track. No, I'll give it a 6.65. I'll give it 6.65. And it has fog in the game. The game has fog. That also must be considered. I didn't get into vegetations of the world, trees, and so on and so forth. Can I, when I touch the tree, would it rummage? The tree does not rummage, so still at 6.65. But when I do run through the tree, it makes a sound like I ran through a 3. So still at 6.65. Give it a point for the sound for running through the tree, but the tree did not move, so they cancel each other out. That's unrealistic. Let's see what this is. Press X together. I am pressing X. New research item acquired. A large gold cast medallion. Classify entry access denied. So I can only get to see what's inside of this medallion by some type of secret code or something. What else? Unknown language. Okay, so additionally towards the characters showing, or at least revealing what the character is and who he is, and the story and where he was captured, we also have a foreign language in this world. Apparently not of the language of this character, and maybe also not of the language of the person who captured him. So an alien language world might be present in here. So aliens could be in here, demons could be in here, whatever, but it's not of this world, a language foreign to them. So that's more lore. So there's a story here, and there's also lore in here. So this is lore. Okay, so I'll give it a point. The game, well, all games have lore. All games have lore, so I'm not going to give it a point for lore. So, no. Not going to do that. Every game has lore. Let me run through the water and see if the water moves. So the tree might not move, but let's see if the water moves. Yes, the water moves and it makes sound when I move. So now I'm going to give it a point. So 6.65 is now 6.7 for movement within water. So that also takes effort to do, to make it follow in a specific path of how you're running, upstream, downstream. Also, let me step on the ground from the wet floor and see if I step on the ground from the wet floor, would it make any imprints from the floor? I cannot see, because even though his feet is wet, the ground, the floor that he's stepping on is very light in color, or dark in color, so wet floor will not make it damp. So let's go with the fact that they didn't code for that. So that's not present in the game. So Is it necessary? Well, if you're going for realism, yes, it's necessary. So even though I'm at 6.7, I won't dock it a game point from that, because Doom could have something like that, and they don't. So maybe they don't consider that to be necessary, but for a semi-realistic world, they should have considered that, but they don't have it. So maybe that's a budget thing. So I'm not going to knock them for that. I'm going to give them a pass for that one, because... But here it is. There is movement on trees. It's just on certain ones were coded to move and others were coded not to move. So even though I gave them a pass on the water, I now could give them a 6.75 for movement of vegetables, or not vegetables, but leaves and trees. It is present on certain ones, and others it's not present. It's present on grasses as well, so it was just not present on this one and on this. But the grass moves when I walk over it, and certain vegetation also moves. So they did put effort into that. So 6.75. So they did put a lot of effort into this game. So 6.75. It's important. Also, 6.8 movement. Movement of characters, very fluid. I've been running around for quite some time talking, and it doesn't feel stiff whatsoever at all. It feels quite fluid. Left, right, back, up and down. Now let's see if there's a jump button. Is X jump? Certain games X is jump. X is not jump in this game. Let's press square on the control pad. Square does nothing. Circle does nothing. Triangle does nothing. We are part of the tutorial, so it might tell us when to press X, square, jump, and stuff. Let's press R2, let's press R1, let's press L2, let's press L1, up, down, left, right. Okay, so I press up, and my health bar was indicated, which means up means health. Like many games, you press up on your direction, on your left, up on the left stick, well, not on the stick, but on the up pad, down pad. For consumables, like in Revenant, you press up for giving yourself vial for health. Up is health. Okay. Left and right. Okay, so now I know that left and right is to cycle through consumables. Okay, that's present here, but that's present in most games anyway, so I'm not going to give it a point for the obvious. How they put it depends. So here they put it, and they make it simple and easy, like in most games, which is, and this is for compass. Down is for compass, so I know where. Okay, this is new. Pressing down tells you where you need to go. This is very helpful. Many games you don't know where you have to go. You have to base things on a map. Here you have a compass on you. Pressing the down button allows you to see the compass. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a point for that, for the game having a compass. So if you're being annoyed with a map, you have a compass at least. So now I'm at a 7.8. I mean, not 7.8, 6.8. And pressing on your center D-pad on your controller brings up this system called Katoche. And the Katoche, like attaché, or maybe that's what it means, attaché case. And let's see, investigation, L1. Okay, so the game has a sense of investigation. Okay, also I'm going to give it another point, so now I'm at a 7.9, a full point with regards to the center D-pad, because there are many things that are present here, so I'm going to give it a full 9 for that. This is different from pressing the options button. That's a separate button as well, so there's another menu system in here that has lots of things in here, and it's colored green and light green. I mean, it's colored light green for both the seams, the outer layer highlights of the cells, and on certain texts. And so it's black and green, which is very good. It reminds you of, well, this world is very much alien, and so I'm thinking that we're dealing with aliens here, or at least alien technology. So green and black works in any game if done right. If the green is heavy, it's bad. If the green is too light, it's also bad. So the green here is fair because you could see the text and you could see what it's saying. So this is a light green, but it's not a different type of hue. It's the preferred type of alien from Aliens games, like Alien Isolation, preferred hue type. So there's a sense of investigation. So now I'm at a 6.9. We're going to go through this and see what they're all about. Loadout. So here is where I attach my weapons, my gear within the loadout. I like this because everything is present here. You press the D-pad, he whips it out, and it's all present within one pad. He's carrying a pad with him in his hand, and it's all present here. He could do investigation, he could change his loadout, his weapon, and everything. Actually, I'll give yet another point for that, because many games you would have to go to this and then go to this and press this other button. It's all located within just one button, your center D-pad. Everything. Okay. A slot for weapons that can channel. Okay, it has this little effect on it too. Like it's picking up transmission. So I'm gonna give it a half point for that. I also am gonna give it a half point for the music. I didn't give it a half point. I mean a point for the music. So I'm gonna give it a half point for this. So I'm at a 6.95. And I'm gonna give it a full point with regards to the music, because the music is totally different from sound effects with regards to trees and wind and stuff like that. This is in-game music, so the music is good for the type of tone of the world it is. Everything's nice and ambient, so the ambient music is satisfactory. So effects with regards to sounds, music with regards to trees and so rummaging stuff, and music with regards to the overall music of the game are three different things. So I'm now at a 7.1 with regards to the game. So I'll continue. Usable items, passive relics. So relic hunting is something that's present in the game, so I'm going to definitely have to hunt for relics. Inventory, that's normal. All games have inventory, all games have loadout. The investigation is not something all games have. Typically you have loadout and inventory for every game, but depending on the type of game it is, investigation is either present or not. So this is not just a killing and shooting bad guys thing. There's a sense of exploration and investigation here. Drone, let's see what this is all about. Device not found. Cache, data pad cannot find. One second. Oh, I think some, what? So, okay, 1 second. Okay, someone's at my door. Okay, I'll just pause this for a moment. Just one moment. Alright, so it was nothing. It was just package. Indicated on my phone, and package comes to the door, something. Alright, so where was I? Okay, Katache is a very strange name to give to this. So let me just look that up real quick. Does it mean anything? Katoche. Okay. Let's see. Internet's giving me the definition of the word Katoche. It doesn't have a clear definition, but it is related to Egyptian culture. So ancient Egyptian culture, not just regular Egyptian culture. Specifically associated with pottery and a life cycle of ancient Egyptian culture and hieroglyphics. Okay, so we're dealing with possible alien species associated with Egypt, or possibly ancient Egypt culture that's considered to be ahead of its time. Typically, when you have something that's ancient demonic or ancient futuristic that's associated with Egypt, it has to do with something either celestial or something demonic. So based on the text that they're using here, the green and the black, I'm gonna go with aliens, because that hieroglyphic that I saw before, that's not really Egyptian hieroglyphics. Like, I know what Egyptian hieroglyphics look like, unless I'm mistaken. Let me go back. Nope, I'm mistaken. Some of them are. In fact, a few of them are. In fact, many of them are actually Egyptian hieroglyphics, alright. I don't think all of them are. Let me see. If I remember. Damn history class. You know what? Never mind. I was never into Egyptian history. Mine was Japanese, and mine was Japanese medieval and post-medieval history, modern, and also mine was what was it? Mediterranean history. So it was Mediterranean and mostly Japanese. So I knew about the Sumerians, I knew about the Sumerians, I knew about the Japanese, mostly Japanese history from 15th, 16th, 17th century, and anything that has to do with Asia or most of Europe, or northern part of Europe, I know little about, other than mid part of Europe to upper part of Europe. I know little about. So Mediterranean area, the Egyptians, not so much, but the Macedonians, the Greeks, the Romans, some of Africa, but not all of Africa. Actually, very little of Africa. What else? Some of it's hard to remember all these things. Some of the Huns, but most of the Hungarians, and most of the Hungarians that came down south. the Finnish lands, and the Scottish lands, and Britain. So it's not like I was really into their culture. It's just that their culture forced itself onto the world in some sense. Like in every book that or every part of history associated with either Caucasian or semi-Caucasian or anyone that's of fair skin is some type of invasion upon another culture. You know, they either invaded upon themselves or they invaded upon another culture. Like the Vikings invaded upon the lands of the British rule. The British invaded upon the lands of the Scottish rule. The Scottish invaded upon the lands of the Irish. The Irish retaliated. Both the Irish and the Scottish retaliated against the British because the British were assholes. And of course the Romans and the Greeks were all of Caucasian / semi-Caucasian descent mixed with other culture. Some were not Egyptian, some were Tibetan, and I would dare to say some were also Arabic and African, because in the Mediterranean parts of the world, a lot of African and Arabian culture were mixed in with other cultures as well, which then folded into Macedonian cultures and other cultures going northwards wise. Same as Irish culture is heavily into Celtics, but the Celtics weren't purely Caucasian. They were mixed with gypsies and stuff, and the gypsies, as everyone knows, they're not fully Caucasian. So, as white as people like to claim themselves to be, they've never been fully white. At least depending on if they come from a Celtic descent. It's not fully purely of a Caucasian background. Most Caucasian people who are semi-Celtic or fully Celtic were never fully 100% Caucasian anyway, if they have the word Celt attached to them. Gallic, especially Gallic culture. And people could say I don't know anything, but I know that the Celts came from the north, and they came down into southern lands such as Scotland, Ireland, and so on and so forth. And they were, you could say, they were fully Caucasian. But some of those cultures that were already within those lands, they weren't fully Caucasian. I think the mixture of culture started when most of the Ottoman Empire, which came way after, when the Ottoman Empire decided to spread its power everywhere, and that's when a massive amount of mixed culture started to happen. So I don't believe anyone who's Caucasian is fully Caucasian anymore, even though they might look fair. Unless their skin is extremely fair, those people can say they're fully Caucasian. Everyone else whose skin might seem Caucasian, but they have like strong hints of brown in them, you could see that they have strong brown within their skin, and you know it has nothing to do with the sun, they're not fully Caucasian. So I hate when people hate on Caucasian people, because you know that there's some type of other culture mixed in with their bloodline that's non-Caucasian. I'm gonna hate on Whitey because I hate Whitey, but like, man, Whitey ain't fully Whitey anymore, man. Like when the last time a white person was probably white was probably 600 or 700 years ago. Maybe even more than that. Depending on where the descendants came from. So I've been running around. I'm looking at, while I'm talking, I'm actually looking at things. I'm looking at the lighting on the trees. I'm looking at the fog. I'm looking at the structure of buildings. I'm looking at everything to see if what I saw at the beginning is constant and has continuity to it in full, and it does. Graves, very Celtic-like graves. Can I interact with them? However, they're pictures of people. Are those pictures of people? They are. They're pictures of people. They're Celtic type in design, but we're talking about Egyptian stuff going on here. So Otis. His name is Otis. Oh, that's original. They carved the names of the person in the grave metal on top, so you knew Aaron. That's good. I like the eerie tones of shift between the harmonica. Well, it's not a harmonica, it's the piano, the tones on the piano. I forgot the name of the type of piano it is that gives that synth type feel. I'm not heavy into musical instruments, so I wouldn't know. Okay, so sounds like something straight out of Stranger Things. Okay, I like the foliation of the sandbags, and the grease and grime on the cans are done very well. So basically the structure of the world is done very well, as well as lighting and everything. So now animals, human skin and all that is another thing. That's a totally different beast, because a person has to know how to sculpt out the design of an animal and have to know how to sculpt out the design of a human, because an animal and a person are two different things. If you're good at sculpting creatures, you might be shitty at sculpting people. So apparently they're also good at sculpting people. So there's probably a team that knows how to do animals good and a team that knows how to do people good. So I'll give it another point for that. So now I'm at 7.5. No, I would say 7.6. 7.6, because I'll give it 2 points. 7.6, because sculpting an animal is one thing, making bones, making intestines, making muscles, and its basic bone anatomy is two different things. You have to know how to do that well, and because of that, that's why I'm gonna give it a 7 point. Now I'm gonna give it an additional more point for that, but for the human beings, for that opening scene, because I did not include muscle movement. Actually, no, I did. Because the lips and the eyes, those are muscle related reflections or retractions or locomotions. Yeah, so I'll keep it at the 7.7. I'll keep it at 7.7. If I'm giving it extra points, then that's fine because it deserves it. It's pretty good. 7.7. I touched something. It says I touched it. What is it? Okay, so manually save. Okay, I just pressed it once to manually save, and it automatically manually saved it. Oh, okay. Okay, so this game has manual save and auto save. Okay, so now I'm at a 7.8. 7.8. Any game that allows you to have a manual save is great. It's awesome. I hate games that just allow for you to have save by dependence on the game itself. Manual save is super important in games because it records where you last stand at. Let's say I got here after all my little talking and I turn off my system, or my game crashed for whatever reason, or the lights went out, blackout. The manual save will remember me standing here. So that's good. Okay.
Gus, Arlo, Otis, please pick up. It's Atticus. I've been trying to call for days now. Phone lines keep going down, so I don't know when I'll be able to call you back, but I'll keep trying. Hey, don't go killing Sabs without me. See you soon.
Sabs. Okay, I'm going to assume that this might be an alternate reality of Earth based on the time period of the 70s. Because mixtapes, or should I say, first introduction of cassette tapes were late 70s, early 80s. So we could be doing, this could be an 80s situation or a late 70s situation. Now late 70s is anywhere from 74, 75 to all the way to the 80s. So depending on mass-produced tapes to the public, that was late 70s, early 80s, or no, late 70s, mid 80s, mass-produced mixtapes. So we could be dealing with a situation that's anywhere from 75 or 76 all the way to 85 or 86. That could be the time frame here, and this could be another world. So an event happened in either the 70s or the 80s, and for a reason why people are still using cassette tapes. Because if we're talking current times, this would be a cell phone recording or a chip from a cell phone, not a tape or recorder. So this is an event that happened in the 70s or 80s, I'm assuming, and he fights CADs because something happened, scabs, because something happened in the 70s or 80s, I'm guessing, of this alternate reality, not normal 70s, 80s.
You must be lost to wander around Sinedra Forest. I'm afraid I have very little to offer. You're welcome to stay and catch your breath. Frankly, I could use the company.
Okay, I'll give it another point for the game for this. Typically when you go to vendors in certain games, you have a conversation that you speak to the vendor, and you could rotate around the vendor, you could talk to the vendor. You either lock towards a specific screen, or you're zoomed into a personal conversation on the screen like this guy. But here it feels more open. You're directly talking to the vendor's right in front of you, everything's present right in front of you. You're not at an angle or anything like that, so not a big deal, but I do like the setup of how this vendor is presented. Maybe when you get into personal conversations with other people, it'll be the same. So the nice little green texture goes to his name, Elder Farmer. The word investigation comes on his name, so my center D-pad is to investigate this person. It's telling you can investigate this person, or you could just ask it. So I'll give it a point for that. So yeah, now I'm at a full 7.9. If I wasn't at 7.9 before, regards to the separate points, I'm at 7.9 now. I mean, what am I talking about? 7.9, 6.9 now. So yeah, now I'm at a full 6.9. I would say, yeah. Oh, I'm tripping. Yeah, I'm tripping. It is a 7.9. I have to keep remembering I'm giving it incremental points. So at the beginning of the game, I gave it a point for its option buttons, with regards to the various different options, and I gave it additional points in that for the option button. So I gave it 2 points. Then I gave it a point for the beginning part of the game, which is you could set up things before the option button. So that was 3 points, and then I gave it a point for lighting and shadows. So lighting itself was pretty good, and shadows was pretty good. Gave it a point for that. Then I gave it a point for skin texture and skin movement. With regards to movement and locomotions of muscles, I gave it a point for that. Then I gave it a point for vegetation and stuff, that you could run over it and stuff, and also through waters and stuff. I gave it a point for that. And then I gave it a point for speech and speech movements with regards to being realistic. Then I gave it a point for color and coloring with regards to people and objects. And then I gave it a point for the silhouette of the UI, scrolling up and down. Then I gave it a point for sound effects with regards to sound in the game of effects itself. So that brought that 5 to a 6. And then I gave it a point for different sound effects with regards to rummaging and stuff. And then I gave it a point for music, which is also there. And then I gave it a half point with regards to additional other music present in the game. And then I gave it another half point for other things I missed that I might have not highlighted that was present in the game, such as certain textures I didn't fully logged in with regards to the environment. Then I gave it another point with regards to movement speed of the character. Then I gave it another point with regards to using your wheel, or your options with regards to consumables and stuff that is present, and some having a compass is unique. Then I gave it a point with regards to muscle structure, with regards to characters, how characters character, and with regards to animals and stuff. Then I gave it a point for animal design, which is different from designing muscles of the animals, such as guts, intestines, and stuff. Just be able to do an artwork and sculpting animals. And then I gave it a point with regards to sculpting metal and metal objects and clothes. And clothing and metal objects are two different things. You have to know how to do them well and separate. So give it a point for each of those. And then I gave it a point with regards to what was it? The D-pad and the center D-pad, which is I can't do that right now, but if I press the center D-pad, it whip it out. I gave it a point for the center D-pad, and that brought it from a 6 to a 7 right now. And on the center D-pad, there was various different options, such as equipping weapons and stuff, and that was all normal in the game. So I just gave it a point for the center D-pad, but I gave it an additional point because apparently you have something called drones, and you have something called investigations, which is not typically standard in any game. So depending on if this is a fight game or if it's an exploration game, that's additional stuff. So that brought it all to about a 7. And afterwards I exited out, and I started to, as I was walking, I was looking at trees, or should I say the waterfall, the fluidity of the waterfall, particle effects. I gave it a point for particle effects, because I already get a point for lighting and shadow, but for particle effects. Then I gave it a point with regards to the tutorial, having a tutorial while you're playing in the game of the story. So you're telling the story, but the tutorial is attached as part of the story. It could have been separate from each other. And then I gave it a point for the story itself, which mini part, which is a half point, not a full point for the story. And then I gave it another half point for having the lore in there, but then I subtract that, so I only gave it a half point for story. So I was at a 7.3, and 7.4 or 7.4 would be with regards to then having coming here and touching the save button, and me running around saying where the hell is the tutorial? The tutorial hasn't popped up yet. And then I went down in there, and then him popping up and having conversation with him as well. Yeah, and that's where I was, 7.4. But then I ran in the water, and I came out of the water, and I started to see if the floor would get damp from the water. That wasn't present, but present running through water was also present in movement, so that brought it up to 7.5 with regards to movement through water, not just having good water effects and stuff, but reaction of water. But then I think I might have given it a point already, because I already gave it a point for rummaging through trees. So rummaging through water is the same thing. So overall it's 7.4. I don't know why I'm assuming it's 7.9. I'm thinking I'm giving it more points that it should, because there are so much details at the beginning of the game. I didn't even give it a point. I think I might have given a point for the sky and the fog, the atmosphere. I gave it a point for the atmosphere, which is different from lighting and shadow. So that brought it up to about a 7.5. And I guess the originality of this world hasn't been fully present in the game, but it seems to be attached to hieroglyphics of Egyptian mythology. So far where I am right now is 7.5. 7.5, not 7.9, not 7.8, not 7.7. 7.5. Those are the things I see right now. I'm thinking to myself, well, am I missing something? If I press the option button, I go to settings. Did I miss anything? Did I give anything accessibilities? Anything? I think I might have given an extra point for something, and the extra point was giving towards, where was it? Lagging, movement lag. So 7.6, that's what it was. This game has movement lag and rotation lag, so 7.6, and I believe that was it. 7.6. So if anything, 7.6. And then there's tutorial, and tutorials attached towards exploration, investigation, compass, conversations, equipment, investigations. So anything that I've experienced in the game, it's now attached towards my tutorial, which I could then go over. Combat, attack is square. So 7.7, the tutorial is not as you go tutorial, it seems to be as you go, and also there's a button for it to tell you how to do so within the options menu system. So that's there as well. So if you don't want to go through all the conversations of the game telling you how to do so, you can also go into the game and press the options button, and a tutorial will pop up, and it will be there at the very beginning without you experiencing it while you're in mission. So 7.7. So regular attack, charge attack, square. So attack is square, heavy attack is triangle. Endurance setting, it has an endurance meter, so I should give it a point for that as well, because it has stamina, but most games have a stamina bar that you cannot use, so I shouldn't really give it a point for that, because many games do. So I'll still keep it at 7.7. Guard is L1. That's weird. So guard is L1. I think I might have to change that. Healing pulse. Faint particles appear around you, and these particles coalesce into a solid ring. The bar in the HUD flashes white. Okay. You can activate the healing pulse ability once it flashes white. So if it flashes white, I can activate it. So in game, while I'm fighting an enemy, if healing pulse starts to generate over time, it will then flash completely white, and then I'm able to heal. healing pulse. How to do healing pulse. Healing pulse is R1. Okay. So other than me healing myself with the up button, to heal, quick save, investigate, equipable items, health pack. Other than me giving myself health pack, there's a healing pulse in the game as well. Quick chat. Okay, so I'll give it another point for this. So now I'm at a 7.8. Sidestep and avoid incoming attack. Circle. Parry. So there's a parry system in here as well. Parry exists in here. It's not just fighting and hitting and using powers. There's parry. Powers for healing. There's also parry. So L1 is guard and parry at the same time, depending on how well you parry. Say, when a parry depletes all of an enemy's stance, you can use repose and deal more damage. Okay, so if I block, over time my block wears away, but if they become tired before their next block, I could do more damage because they're weak. Okay, very Dark Souls like. Okay, sidestep. Okay, so there's sidestep in here as well. Okay, that's very good. Circle. To perform sidestep and avoid incoming attack. What else is circle? Okay, so sidestep is circle. Attack is square and triangle. Sidestep is circle. Stamina system. Stamina cost. Attack is stamina cost. Sidestep, stamina cost. Guarding, stamina cost. Sprinting, stamina cost. So all these are stamina costs. So when I'm in combat, if I guard too much, it depletes a lot of stamina. Eventually I'll become staggered if I guard too much. And not just attacking, but sidestepping. Guarding, sidestepping, and attacking all deplete stamina. So if I guard and attack 2 or 3 times, it's time for me to do an attack. Otherwise, all I'll be doing is guarding all day. So guard, sidestep, attack, or attack, attack, then guard and sidestep. It really depends. While exhausted, all actions will be performed much slower than usual, exposing you to more danger. Okay, kind of the same thing that works with the enemy. While I'm exhausted, I'm much easier to deal more damage towards myself from an enemy. Begin to regenerate automatically after a moment of performing no combat actions, clearing the exhaust state. Okay, switching weapons. L1 and the up button to switch between 2 equipped weapons. Oh, that's going to be, no, is that L2 or L? Yeah, it's L2 and up. That's going to be kind of annoying, because every time I need to switch, I need to press 2 buttons. So even though I'm 7.8, I might have to dock half a point for that. You usually want to just press 1 button to switch, not press 2 buttons. That's not good. So 7.75. It's not good. Lock on, typically standard in most games. What is this Limbic energy? Limbic energy. I think attacks on Hollow Walker. All humanoid. The white humanoid creatures. White humanoid creatures. Hell as us. I wonder if we created these Hollow Walkers. White humanoid creatures. linked enemies. You will often face two enemies linked together by an umbilical cord. Huh, okay. This pair is known as the limbic entity and is made up of Hollow Walker, light-skinned humanoid creature. Haze, large monster of various shape. Okay, so this is the Haze is a large monster of a various shape. So typically when you're in combat, you're never fighting just one enemy, you're fighting two, and they're linked together. To defeat this pair, you must kill the Hollow Walker, the humanoid. However, the Hollow Walker cannot be damaged as long as the Haze is still present. Okay, so the Haze keeps them alive. Like a symbiotic leech. He leeches off the walker, but at the same time gives them a type of invulnerability. Reducing the Haze health to 0 will cause it to retreat into the Hollow Walker, who will become enraged but vulnerable to your attack. Oh, that's weird. So when the Haze is outside, it's its own enemy. I guess it's its own self, but once it becomes afraid, it goes towards the Hollow Walker for protection. But the Hollow Walker gets really angry because you damaged the Haze. Okay, in this way, it cannot be reduced and will gradually replenish. Wait, let me see that again. Reducing the Haze health to 0 have to retreat within the Hollow Walker, who will become enraged but vulnerable to your attacks. Okay? So you must attack the Haze first, so you retreat into the Hollow Walker. And once he's enraged, he becomes more aggressive, but he also is weaker, and he's easier to damage. In this state, the Hollow Walker limbic energy, represented by white bar. So once the Haze goes into his body, the white bar is going to be present. Cannot be reduced and will gradually replenish. So it can't reduce the white bar, and it will eventually be replenished. And it says here, if the limbic energy fully replenished, so once the white bar gets to its full capacity, it will return the state of invulnerability and the Haze will reemerge. So basically you want the white bar to not be fully energized. You want to kill the Hollow Walker before his white bar is fully at its max capacity, because then that means the Haze inside has fully replenishes his own health through the Hollow Walker. Okay. So goal is kill Haze first, then make sure to kill Hollow Walker thereafter. Dodge is circle. Now I can't do the dodge now because there's no enemies so far. Can I now go to this door? Oh, he didn't give me a key? Okay. Is he supposed to give me a key? Or am I? So I think I might, maybe I'm supposed to buy a key from him?
You must be lost to wander around Sinedra Forest. You're welcome.
Who are you?
The name's Ernest Cadell. My family has tilled the earth here for generations. When the Sabinian army dug in for the winter, they used our home as their headquarters. I wasn't here at the time, but my sons were. When I finally came back, the Sabinians were long gone.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the game another point. So I'm now at a full 8. The Sabinians are an army. They're not the undead or anything like that of this world. So that's what the cassette tapes were talking about, the Sabs. But the main reason why I'm going to give it another point, not a half point, is because this is something that's kind of very important. In many games, when a dialogue with a conversation of any type, whether story or semi-story or mid-story, depending on the type of game it is, it could be main story talk or side quest talk or just event talk or chores talk. You usually, the conversation typically goes on and on. You could skip it or you could let it just play out by pressing X on it to make it go. But sometimes the character doesn't stop talking, and sometimes when you want the character to stop talking, there's not an option there. So the character, the NPC, completely states their entire dialogue until the very end. They go through the entire dialogue from beginning to end, and you can choose to speed it up or you can choose to skip it, but you cannot, many times you cannot slow it down, you cannot reverse it, or you cannot stop it. Here you have the ability to stop it. In other words, he talks, he go through an entire paragraph of conversation or paragraph of dialogue, but he doesn't proceed to the next paragraph of dialogue until you press the X button. So that's very good. It doesn't, like many games will, many players or people who play games will say, well, I hate where I have to keep pressing the button just to see more dialogue. But sometimes you can miss certain dialogue points, but then they'll say, well, I could always go back and see what he was saying in the dialogue. But if the people who make the game doesn't put that into the game, that you could go back to see the previous dialogue from all your NPCs, you won't know, one, where to look, and two, if you do know where to look, it would take you a while to go back to see the dialogue of every single NPCs. Here, it gives you the option to look at it steadily. Now, there's no skip dialogue options, but the fact that it allows you to stop the dialogue before proceeding through the dialogue is very good, rather than the NPC going through the entire dialogue roster and you missing something as part of the story that you want to understand. Let's say, because this is an investigation game, not like Horizon Forbidden West, you have to pay attention to what is going on within the conversation. Anyone who says otherwise, then they don't understand how an investigation game goes. Like, you cannot skip dialogue unless you really want to not understand what is going on within the story. Otherwise, the story wouldn't have the word investigate or solve. Here is sort of an investigation point of the game. So the reason why there's a pause button or a stop button is so you could read the dialogue. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the game. So now I'm at a full 8 with regards to the game.
They left my son's bodies in the forest. My only solace is knowing that my fourth son might still be alive. I hope he finds his way home, if he's out there somewhere.
Now, this is the point where you could choose to leave the conversation or to continue to investigate even more with regards to the character. So, it's not just a story of I'm fighting enemies, I'm going through the mission, I'm going through the stories, and I'm talking to people. It's a story that has a type of mystery that's going on in it. Otherwise, why investigate certain things? And we're talking from the point of view of the guy that's sitting in the chair, especially what he remembered from those he came across. So this is one of the people he came across, and he's investigating, I'm assuming, his memories of having conversations, for which the player, the user, is then on this journey of investigation.
Who are you?
The name's... what?
Who are you?
The name... when...
And also, if you don't go up and down, you could keep hitting the same thing over and over, but it's no big deal. The X button on skipping dialogues is very fast, extremely fast, so it's never that annoying, and it doesn't take forever. It's not like you're skipping sentence after sentence, you're skipping paragraphs after paragraphs, and it's pretty good actually. So yeah, that's an 8. Definitely an 8 so far.
Jova is located?
It's in Akasa Marshes. It's quite a ways from here. I'm afraid you're going to need a vehicle. Unfortunately, I have none. A group of strange-looking soldiers arrived here last night in an APC. And perhaps you can ask them for help. It's not the first time I've seen them. They always seem to be snooping around here for something.
Where can I find the APC?
They parked their APC just beyond the woods, to the north. Once in the woods, follow the wind chimes. They will lead the way through. I hung them in the trees so my sons would stop getting lost when they were children. Setharus, bless their souls. The gate to enter the woods is locked. Here, take this key to unlock it.
Where can I find...
I hung...
So once a dialogue is complete, it seems to go light, like faded green. Like they're both faded, like greenish gray, or grayish green. The text is no longer at the top. Is no longer green. It's gone gray. So that's an indication that the conversation or all his dialogue is fully over for the moment. So it says to the left side is additional information associated with the investigation on the right side. So on, or should I say on the right side is additional information in association with the investigation on the left side. So the right side shows the general knowledge. This character has general knowledge of Hadia. This character also knows about the Civil War. This character also has general knowledge of the Peacekeepers. This also have general knowledge of the Sabinians. So he understands the war, he understands who the Peacekeepers are, he understands the lands and the enemy, the Sabinians. So he's going to be necessary when I need to know more about the Sabinians and about where to find certain things. A new area discovered. Akasa Marshes. can travel between area with vehicle. Okay. If I get a vehicle. So question mark pops up when you need to do additional things. Okay, so on my pad, under the word investigate clues about my parents. So I click on clues about my parents, and so far everything is unknown about my parents other than the old man I came across, the owner of a farmland, maybe my parents were friends with him. Maybe my parents grew up in Central Forest, somewhere around here. They were neighbors. But if he's attached to investigate my parents, then he's either within the vicinity of where my parents were, or he was friends with them over a period of time. My mother gave it to me when I was 5 years old. She was smuggling me out of India. Okay, so he found a pendant that probably dropped from him somewhere, or he hid somewhere, and he picked it up, and it's from his mother. So the first half of this game might be figuring out his past, but he's saying this from the point of view of sitting at a table. So I'm not sure how far this is going to go, whether it might become an annoyance or not. But as stated in the game so far, I'm at an 8 right now, so everything is pretty much good. I could zoom in and zoom out. Oh, okay, so that's very good. Like, if I want to see exactly who I'm speaking to or what I want, I could zoom in and zoom out. Move cursor around. Open chest. Can I open it? So okay, so inside this locket of my or this necklace, heirloom of my mother, are several things. There's one directly attached to my mother, and it says, since I've clearly unlocked it, she used to live in village of Jova, which is located in Akasa Marshes. So where I'm going is where she used to live, and also attached to said mother, his father was a blacksmith of that village, also in the Kashimashes, but he doesn't remember what his father looked like. He doesn't remember what she looks like either. And since the locket was, let's see if it was made in Jova. The last known location of his parents, he said, it is where he was born. Okay, so he is from this area, and he's trying to retrace his steps of where he was born, where his parents was last seen. Ernest Cadell said that Jova is quite far and need a vehicle to reach it. Okay, so first I have to get a vehicle to get there, even though it's within the vicinity of this location, but how far Jovia is could be anywhere from 5 miles to 15 miles away. Either way, 5 miles is pretty long on foot. Might take me a couple hours to get there, almost half a day. 10 hours depending on how fast he walks. 6 hours depending on if he has good stamina. 3 if he's doing a jog. But I doubt it. Even by walking, might take him 6 hours to get to there, or 5 mile place. Maybe not even, maybe 10 hours. Okay, so based on the investigation for his parents, you have his father, you have the mother, you have the APC. I don't see what that has to do with the parents. Unless the parents is attached to a military unit, and is part of their life. They're part of a military unit, for which the APC will be, and then you have the locket, the necklace itself. And then you have the village. So you have the you have the father, you have the mother, you have possibly their proficiency or what they're involved in, and then you have the village itself that they grew up, and the heirloom locket. So inspect item, pressing square. Can I rotate it? Inspection to show the design of it, but that's a good design, but it serves no purpose just for it to be a design. But then again, all the investigation of the design is present here. Once you press on the X button, it's then attached to mother, which then is attached to blacksmith's father, which then is attached to village Jovia. So by pressing X on it, you opened it up to see it anyway, so you don't really need to rotate it to see what it is. Just pressing on it reveals stuff. So I'm going to give it another point for that. How to invest. It's quite simple. It's not complicated at all. It's not as detailed as Resident Evil. In fact, actually, it kind of gets a bit confusing, so I'm going to take it down half a point, because if it was done like Resident Evil, it would be far more simpler. But these are investigations links, things links together, so I believe the links are good, so I'll give it a half point. 8.5. It's good so far. Now when something pops up as new, you have like this little flashing light that pops up above it, like a blinking light or blinking star. So this is new, this is new, this is new. Even though I had the pad with me the whole time, I didn't check my inventory system. So now that they've all been checked, yeah, if I press on the pad, it shows the pad. Press on the key, it shows the key. Press on the locket, it shows the locket. Press on this, it shows the compass. Now also in inventory, there's R2 and L2 for moving. So let's go on to the okay. Can't rotate it or anything. I do have a hat. Okay, so I did not go over this with regards to the controls. I'm still busy looking at the magnifying glass stuff with regards to certain, well, not just the magnifying glass, but the magnifying glass in the options of new items and other things at the beginning of the game. So at this point in the game, I'm now going to look at the controllers, and I'll see if I can give it more points for that. Let's see, can I move certain things around? Will I be able to do so? I cannot. So I won't say I'm going to dock it a point for not being able to move certain things around, but yes, I'm going to dock it a point. Even in other like lesser games, you're able to switch where you want type of controls you want. Like in, let's say, Resident Evil Revelations, you can change up how you want your controls to one by either giving A, B options or A, B, C options, depending on the type of game you're playing. So some of them have automatic controller options to fit the type of player styles. You cannot change the buttons in those games, but they give you certain options. Here, they give you no options. You cannot switch anything whatsoever at all from the controller point, at least from this controller point. So yeah, that's not good. So yeah, that 8.5 is now right back to the 8. So not being able to change my controllers, have to play with the default that the game is giving you. It might be bad for certain people. Yeah, so that's not good at all. It's not a deal breaker, it's just a little bad. It's just slightly annoying, but it's not, it won't change anything. You're just gonna have to get used to playing at the type of settings. I just don't understand why they didn't give different options for the controllers. But it is what it is. Maybe, yeah, but that wouldn't make sense. This being a demo, wouldn't make sense for them to limit how you change your controllers. So that said, I would say, yeah, that half a point I gave to them, I have to take it off. Actually, might have to drop it a full point for not being able to change your controllers to whatever type of settings you want. So now I'm at a 7.95. So it basically tells you if you're unsure what objective you're on or what objective you need to be on, you go into your data pad, you press on the objective. Like here, you have people. By pressing L2 or R2, you scroll with regards to type of investigations you're going to do. So here you have the main objective, I'm assuming this is, which is family reunion, and here you have investigations of people, which isn't the overall objective here. Family reunion is objective here. Here, if you want specific investigations into individuals, You could go onto them and you could press X onto them and it will take you into a menu of them where you could then select and pan through the datum. Item investigations, APC investigations, open cart, now it doesn't say anything about tagging these things. Like if I want to go to the APC specifically and I want to tag this as my objective, it does not say that. It just says you could open it and proceed to that. Like for instance, if I press this, Village of Jova, and I want to know more about the Village of Jova, you only have at the bottom, move cursor, pan, zoom in, zoom out like this, move cursor going here, left, right, up, down, here. Then you pull up the triangle for data list. It brings you back to the main investigation by pressing triangle. So pressing family matters. So there's no way to specifically tag a specific thing. So maybe it's not even necessary. Maybe it's linear like that. Who knows? So far so good. Now at the very top I see volume, and volume is negative and plus. How do you increase your volume and decrease the volume? That's not present because that's part of the pad that he's using. So it's just there as part of a nice little design thing. It's not actually part of you increasing the volume of the pad itself. It doesn't exist. Alright, so far so good. And what time are we on? We're now on 2 hours, so I might have to come back to this another time. So this is a very detailed, extremely detailed demo, and I'm already at a 7.95 or about an 8 if you want to be generous to it, and I haven't gotten deep into the story, but I had to tag everything to see how everything works. So far everything has been addressed, from tutorial to how the world looks, to character models, to the story, to the lore, to the sound effects, to the scrolling, to the running. Everything I could think of has been tagged. Even scrolling system and items you pick up and save, manual save, so on and so forth, and investigations. So yeah, I had to make sure I looked into it, and I didn't realize it was 2 hours already. But when you're evaluating something, you have to put time into it to see if it's good or not, and not be weighed down by the bullshit of others. You have to see for yourself, or at least see through someone who's actually paying attention to every little thing. Like if I run in mud or in grass, is it going to be present on my feet? So that's why I docked it a point for not having it at a 7.9 or a 7 or an 8, or that's just at the 5% marker or below 5% marker. Because I'm probably not going to get through this entire tutorial. I'll just be realistic about that. I'm not going to get through the entire tutorial. I mean, through this entire demo, not the tutorial. But so the first boss I will fight, not the first enemy I'll fight, the first boss I'll fight, I'll be able to tell whether it's a good game or not. And from that first boss, I'll stop it there, and then I'll judge the game fully. So today's the first day of this demo. Tomorrow will probably be the ending day of that demo. Probably not going to talk as much tomorrow because most of everything has been identified.